Hare Krishna devotees, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Sri Prabhupada and Guru Maharaj. I think it's Hemang Mati. When are you ready? Please start, Matini.
Sure, Guruji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, dear devotees, please accept my humble obeisances. All goes to Srila Prabhupada and Guru Maharaj. Today we are reading Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 10, Chapter 55, Text 1 to 20, the history of Pradyumna. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritam Naram Chaiva Tamam Deving Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jaya Mudirat Nashtaprayesu Avadresu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavate Uttama Sloke Bhakti Bhavati Nestiki Namo Vishnupadaya Krishnapastaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Iti Namini Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Prachari Nirvisesa Sunyavadi Paschatya Desa Tarine Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhara Sivasadi Go Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Text 1. Sukadeva Goswami said Kamadeva, Cupid, an expansion of Vasudeva, had previously been burned to ashes by Rudra's anger. Now, to obtain a new body, he merged back into the body of Lord Vasudeva. He took birth in the womb of Vaidarvi from the seed of Lord Krishna and received the name Pradyumna. In no respect was he inferior to his father. The demon Sambara, who could assume any form he desired, kidnapped the infant before he was even 10 days old. Understanding Pradyumna to be his enemy, Sambara threw him into the sea and then returned home. A powerful fish swallowed Pradyumna, and this fish, along with others, was caught in a huge net and seized by fishermen. The fishermen presented that extraordinary fish to Sambara, who had his cooks bring it to the kitchen, where they began cutting it up with a butcher knife. Seeing a male shine in the belly of the fish, the cooks gave the infant to Mayavati, who was astonished. Narada Muni then appeared and explained to her everything about the child's birth and his entering the fish's abdomen. Mayavati was in fact Cupid's renowned wife Rati. While waiting for her husband to obtain a new body, his previous one having been burnt up, she had been assigned by Sambara to prepare vegetables and rice. Mayavati understood that this infant was actually Kamadeva, and thus she began to feel love for him. After a short time, this son of Krishna, Pradyumna, attained his full youth. He enchanted all women who gazed upon him. My dear king, with a bashful smile and raised eyebrows, Mayavati exhibited various gestures of conjugal attractions as she lovingly approached her husband, whose eyes were broad like the petals of a lotus, whose arms were very long, and who was the most beautiful of men. Lord Pradyumna told her, "Oh, mother, your attitude has changed. You are overstepping the proper feelings of a mother and behaving like a lover." Rati said, "You are the son of the Lord Narayana and were kidnapped from your parents' home by Sambara. I, Rati, am your legitimate wife, O master, because you are Cupid. The demon Sambara threw you into the sea when you are not even 10 days old, and a fish swallowed you. In this very place we recovered you from the fish's abdomen, O master. Now kill this dreadful Sambara, your formidable enemy. Although he knows hundreds of magic spells, you can defeat him with bewildering magic and other techniques. Your poor mother, having lost her son, cries for you like a glory bird. She is overwhelmed with love for her child, just like a cow that has lost its calf. Text 16, Sukadeva Goswami continues, speaking thus, Mayavati gave to the great soul Pradyumna the mystic knowledge called Mahamaya, which vanquishes all other deluding spells. Pradyumna approached Sambara and called him to a battle, hurling intolerable insult at him to foment a conflict. Text 18. Offended by these harsh words, Sambara became as agitated as a kicked snake. He came out, club in hand, with eyes red with rage. Text 19. Sambara whirled his club swiftly about and then hurled it at the wise Pradyumna, producing a sound as sharp as a thunder crack. Text 20. As Sambara's club came flying toward him, Lord Pradyumna knocked it away with his own. Then, O king, Pradyumna angrily threw his club at the enemy. Thank you, Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
Thank you so much, Hemagi Mataji, for reading the translations. Hare Krishna. So, welcome everyone. I will offer prayers and continue. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha Namam Vishnupadaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swamini Namini Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauramani Pracharini Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschat Deshtarini Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhara Sri Vasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. So it's a wonderful section of Srimad Bhagavatam. We're in 10th canto, specifically in 55th chapter today. In the last couple of chapters, we heard about Lord Krishna's wonderful way he married to Rukmini Devi. Specifically, we heard how Lord Krishna was in a battle, 18th battle with the demon Jarasandha. And that time, he came out quickly, running away from the battle. Came out quickly in order to rescue Rukmini and marry her. And we heard a beautiful love letter Rukmini Devi wrote to Krishna, inviting him, requesting him to come and take care of her. And then Krishna bravely came and he took Rukmini's hand and defeated all the other demoniac kings who were assembled there, who were objecting, who were blocking his way back. So that's how he finally went back to Dwaraka and married Rukmini before all the Dwarakavasis. And Dwarakavasis, we heard in the end of the last chapter yesterday, how they were very, very joyful, overjoyed by seeing the marriage of Rukmini and Krishna. Now, in this chapter, that was the end of the last chapter. In this chapter, Sukadeva Goswami is telling the Srimad Bhagavatam to Parikshit Maharaj. So Sukadeva Goswami continues telling about how Krishna and Rukmini after marriage got a child. And then his child name was Pradyumna. And then he continues not only telling the child appearance of the child, but he continues telling about what happened to the child later on, how he grew up, how he got married, how he came back. All that he continues in this chapter. So normally, from chronology perspective, what happened was the child was born between Krishna and Rukmini, Pradyumna. But after the child was born, while the child was growing up, Krishna married other queens like Jambavati, we'll hear in the upcoming chapters, and the 16,107 other queens he married after that. Rukmini Devi was the first queen he married. And then 16,107 other queens he will marry coming up. So the sequence was Krishna got this married Rukmini Devi, Krishna has this child Pradyumna, and after that marriage with the other queens, and then Pradyumna, who was taken away by a demon by name Sambara, will come back after that. But instead of going in this sequence, Sukadeva Acharyas, our Acharyas describe that Sukadeva Goswami was in ecstasy and is continuing the pastime, telling about what happened to Pradyumna, like that. So this is not a fault of the Puranas. Puranas, unlike Itihasas means like Ramayana and Mahabharata, their Itihasas are very chronological. That means they go through first step, second step, third step, like that, what happened in sequence. Puranas don't have that characteristic as a requirement that they need to be chronological like that. Puranas go thematically, systematically still, not necessarily chronologically. Chronology means sequentially. So that's what here Sukadeva Goswami is describing out of his ecstasy in describing Krishna and Rukmini pastimes like this. So he is describing Pradyumna's later life. There is one comment that made in the BBT purport referring to Srila Sridhar Swami's commentary. So in the text number 1, Sukadeva Goswami starts to describe. What does he say? Kamadeva, Cupid, who is an expansion of Vasudeva, was previously he was burnt to ashes by Lord Rudra's anger. Rudra means another name for Lord Shiva. Lord Shiva's anger. By Rudra's anger, Kamadeva was burnt to ashes. Now to obtain a new body, that Kamadeva merged back into the back body of Lord Vasudeva. So when we're reading these things, there will be some confusion in the different names that are given. Okay? So I'll clear up a little bit because in the purport, our Acharya's commentaries are given nicely to clarify this for us. So there's no confusion. That is the purpose of reading purports, so that we get the insights of our acharyas like Srila Prabhupada, Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, Jiva Goswami, Srila Sanatana Goswami, like that, great acharyas. So they are helping us to understand Bhagavatam in the right perspective. There are few understandings they are giving us in this purport to explain this verse. First of all, number 1, that the background is some time ago Lord Shiva was doing some austerities, and Kamadeva, the Cupid god, demigod, Devata, Kamadev, who is a subordinate to Indradev. Such a Cupid demigod, he came before Shiva to try to disturb him. Then Rudra burnt him to ashes by opening his third eye. That is one background that is given. There's more background coming up in the coming verses, but I'm starting here. So now that Kamadev doesn't have any body now. So later on, he uh, comes into the body of Pradyumna. So some of these verses say, we know from Lord Krishna when he expands, he first expands as Lord Balaram. And then from Balaram comes the Chaturvyuha expansion, the 4 forms of Supreme Personality of Godhead. Vasudeva, Sankarshana, Pradyumna, Aniruddha. So in some of these verses, Vasudeva and Sankarshana are used synonymously, interchangeably. So that's okay, because both are Supreme Personality of Godhead anyway. Like that is described. Number 1. That's one principle that Acharyas are sharing for us. So it's not a confusion for us, it's clear for us. Second thing they're describing to us is that Pradyumna from the Chaturvyuha forms, he is the one who appeared as son of Lord Krishna and Mother Rukmini Devi. That Pradyumna is the one who appeared, not this Kamadeva Deva. Pradyumna is the one who appeared. That is second clarification Acharyas give. Now then why is the verse is telling Kamadeva appeared then? The third clarification is that Kamadeva Cupid demigod came into the body of Pradyumna. So he is also there along with original Pradyumna also. So like that we can understand it. And this is not a new thing. Our acharyas describe with some examples of how this happened. How it happened previously also. For example, when Nanda Maharaj and Yashoda Mataji came this world, to perform the pastimes with Lord Krishna. That time, Dara also came in the body of Nanda Maharaj. So that is a previous example they are quoting to tell us that this has happened previously also like that. That is another thing. So now, another fourth aspect Acharyas are clarifying in the purport is that Kamadeva did not have great power to come into the body of Pradyumna like this on himself. But because of the Lord's will, because the Lord desired for this to happen, so he gave the strength to Kamadeva to appear in the body of Pradyumna like this. That's another clarification our acharyas provide that is given in the commentary here. Specifically, Srila Jiva Goswami is describing this in Krishna Sandarbha, one of the 6 Sandarbhas. So essentially, from the first verse, we learned that Pradyumna appeared as the son of Krishna and Rukmini. This Pradyumna is not different from the Chaturvya expansions, Supreme Person of Godhead only. And then Kamadeva merged in the body of, entered the body of Pradyumna also. So that is what we heard from first verse. Continue to the second verse. Now, this Pradyumna was born in the womb of Rukmini Devi, who is referred here as Vaidarbhi. In no respect, he was inferior to his father. So the Acharyas describe that this is indicating that this Pradyumna is from the Chaturvyuha forms of the Lord, not just Kamadeva. They're confirming that point one more time in the second verse. So that's why he was Bhagavan himself, the son also, because it is from Chaturvyuha expansion. Now text number 3. Here, now, what happened after he is born is being described. Right on the 6th day, not even just 6 days happened. After the child is born, only 6 days have passed. Within 6 days, when 6 days have passed, one demon by name Sambara came. Sanatana Goswami describes Sambara name meaning means he who produced his own auspiciousness. That demon produced his own auspiciousness. How come? Because he gets killed by Bhagavan feature of the Lord. That's why he is called Sambara. So the demon Sambara came, and this Sambara demon had a special skill or special ability of what? He can assume any form he wants. He can become a cat if he wants, he can become a lady if he wants, he can become a nurse he wants. The Acharyas highlight this portion that he could become a nurse. That means nurses are allowed to approach small children to nurse the baby, to take care of the baby's needs like that. So you could assume even that form also. So then what did he do? He came and he kidnapped this infant baby, Pradyumna, and he went away with the baby. So how did this happen? How can some demon kidnap Krishna's own child? The doubt might come. So Srila Jiva Goswami is clarifying for us that it's only because of Lord's illusory potency. Here in this case is Lord's Yogamaya potency that is making this happen. Making what happen? That this demon is unobstructed, is not stopped by anybody from taking the child. We hear of similar description we already heard in the earlier chapters of the 10th canto, where Putana demon came right into the inner chambers of Nanda Maharaj home and then tried to kill Krishna. So in that context also we heard how because of Yogamaya influence only, nobody stopped her from going to Krishna. Nobody stopped her from picking up Krishna like that. Same thing happened here also according to Srila Jiva Goswami. Then this Sambara demon understood that this baby Pradyumna was his enemy. How did he understand that? That our Acharya Sri Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur is telling that Srila Narada Muni told this demon Sambara that your enemy Kamadeva is inside this body of Pradyumna and he wants to kill you. That's why he came like this. So they both had previous enmity, Sambara and Kamadev. So he came to kill you, like that he said. That is why this Sambara demon, like how Kamsa was trying to kill Krishna when his child, he came and took this baby, kidnapped this baby and took him away. And what did he do after taking him away? That's described in the next. Um, yeah, okay. In this verse itself is describing. What did he do? He threw the baby deeply into sea. That means he threw very, very far away. It's described like that. That's what is described in this particular verse. So that way, he will not come back again. That was his thought process. That is described by the word prasya. He threw away far away in the sea. And then he went back to his home. Sambara went back to his home. So now, what happened to this baby when he's thrown into sea? A powerful fish, big fish, is swallowed the baby inside. Which baby? Pradyumna. And this fish, along with other fishes, were caught in a huge net that were put by fishermen. So, how come a fish could swallow Pradyumna, who is none other than Bhagavan from Chaturvya forms of the Lord? Sri Vishwanath Chakravarti explains again that is also by the desire of the Lord only that the fish became so strong that he could swallow Pradyumna also. Number one. Again, another word is described, even though fish was uh, stronger being was stronger to be able to swallow Pradyumna, he was nonetheless caught in the net again by fisherman's net also. So that's also astonishing past tense of Krishna. Now in the text number 5, the fisherman who caught this big fish, because his fish was extraordinary, that was very, very special, very, very big, and very, very astonishing to look at. That is why he wanted to gift this to Sambara. So he gifted this fish to Sambara, and who gave it to his cooks. So his cooks brought the fish to the kitchen, and they started to cut that fish. Then suddenly they noticed a baby child is there, male child is there, boy is there, small boy child is there in the belly of the fish. And the cooks gave the child uh, to Mayavati. We'll know more about who is Mayavati. So Mayavati was in the kitchen. So she was given the male child. She was very, and it's described, Mayavati was astonished. Why? Srila Jiva Goswami describes for us. She is astonished because the child is most beautiful. And the child looks like, he's looking like my husband. Is he a Devata or is he husband? Like that, she is astonished. Now, when she's astonished like that, and when she's doubting whether it is her husband that he came back or is it Devata, that time Srila Narada Muni comes there. And he explains her the whole story. What is that story? That this child is none other than your husband Kamadev only. He came back and uh, came back in this life for you, like that. Sri Narada Muni discloses to Mayavati. Uh, so then, coming to 7th and 8th verse, we'll hear the whole story of Mayavati and Kamadev in this verse purport now. So, this Mayavati was none other than Rati Devi, who was Kamadeva in previous life. So, just to get the name straight, in the previous life, Kamadev or Cupid was trying to disturb Lord Shiva, and then he was burned to ashes. And that Kamadev is born now as Pradyumna, along with original Supreme Lord Pradyumna also. That is one. So Kamadeva came in the body of Pradyumna, number one to remember. Second thing to remember is Kamadeva's wife in previous life, Rati Devi, is now here as Mayavati. So those are couple of names. So what happened when Lord Rudra opened his third eye and burnt Kamadev to ashes was his wife Rati Devi did austerities to please Lord Shiva. At the same time, this demon Sambara was also doing austerities to please Lord Shiva. So both of them were doing austerities to please Lord Shiva. So then, why was Rati Devi doing austerities? She wanted to please Lord Shiva and request him to give life back to Kamadev like that. To give him meaning, to give him body again one more time. Soul will not die, only body dies, right? So he wanted, that is the purpose of her austerities. At the same time, when the Sambara was doing austerities, Lord Shiva first recognized Sambara and asked him, what benediction do you want? Like that. And Sambara, he was doing austerities to get something. But when he saw this Rati Devi, who was so beautiful, who was a wife of Cupid, we can imagine. He was so beautiful, he was bewildered. And he said, can I have her? Like that he asked Lord Shiva. Then interestingly, Shiva said, sure, you can have Rati, Rati, you can take Rati with you like that. But then Rati gets bewildered. Rati is waiting to ask her a benediction. So then Lord Shiva tells her, don't worry, your desire will be fulfilled by going with him like that. Then Rati Devi went along with this demon Sambara. However, our Acharya stress on one point. Many Acharyas stress on one point. And in purport, last sentence is saying that this Rati Devi, who is now as Mayavati, was not touched, was untouched by this demon Sambara. That means they did not have any intimate dealings at all. How was that possible? Because Mayavati has great mystic powers. That with her magic, she was appearing beautiful. She was bewildering Sambara that he never touched her in any intimate way. That's another important aspect. Our acharyas are touching in this purport also. And this is all described in Matsya Purana, as Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur also discloses us for our benefit. So now, so Mayavati, when she saw this baby and heard from Narad Muni that this baby is her own husband in previous life, Kamadev, so she began to feel love for the baby, who is none other than her husband Kamadev only. Continuing to the ninth verse, after a short time, the son of Krishna, Pradyumna, grew old. Like how Krishna grew very fast, this Pradyumna also grew very fast to Pauganda age and then Kaishora age. Like that, he became full youth again. He was so beautiful that he was enchanting all the women by just seeing him, they were getting bewildered like that. Just by looking, Srila Jiva Goswami writes, just by looking at him, what to speak of speaking to him even, they all develop intense emotions of love for Pradyumna. Such a beautiful child was Pradyumna. And later on we'll know that he was looking exactly like Krishna. So now we're going to text number 10. Then Pradyumna, this boy Pradyumna, who is now full youth, his beauty and strength are being explained here. So Mayavati was looking at this child, this young boy now, not a child anymore, young boy, young man. He was looking at with her shy, bashful smile. She's looking at him, and she's raising her eyebrows like that. She's doing various gestures of conjugal attraction because she's approaching him as her husband, not as a baby anymore. And this young man's eyes were broad like lotus petals. that is signifying, representing his beauty. And then his arms were very long and strong, representing his great strength. So he was the most beautiful of all the men there, it is described. So Sri Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur says, this lady Mayavati was thinking, now that he's become a young man, I'm going to tell him that you're my husband only. So you're not the small child, you're not like a child that I'm taking care of. You're actually my husband only. She wanted to disclose that privately. But her spontaneous conjugal feelings arose, manifested suddenly, even before she disclosed that secret to him. That's what Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur says. That is also apparent from next verse also. In the next verse, 11th verse, Pradyumna is raising objection. Oh, mother, your attitude has changed. You're overstepping your feelings of mother and you're acting like a lover. Why is this? This is not appropriate. Like that, Pradyumna is raising objection. Our Srila Jiva Goswami indicates when he is calling as mother, is calling her as mother because not because Mayavati told her, you call me as mother, but one of the nurses told her, you're Mayavati's child, so you should call her mother like that. That's why he called her as mother like that. That is one point Sri Jiva Goswami describes. So, and Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur describes that how come Pradyumna is Bhagavan feature only? How come Bhagavan doesn't know that Kamadeva is in body and this Mayavati is his conjugal lover only, his wife only, eternal wife only. How come he doesn't know? Sri Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur describes that is again by the will of Krishna, his omniscience, that means knowing everything, is covered for the time being. So that's what is described in this 11th verse, where Pradyumna is challenging. How come you're not behaving like mother, you're behaving like a lover, like that? In the text 12, Rati Devi responds to him, says, you're the son of Lord Narayana. That means Krishna in the here actually. So you're son of Lord Narayana and you were kidnapped by from your parents' home by this demon Sambara. I, Rati, am your legitimate eternal wife. Oh master, because you are Cupid himself. Like that she is disclosing. Or Acharyas describes, Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur describes, Pradyumna made Mayavati his wife just by touching her in this life again. How? Like how touchstone, when it touches an iron, it becomes gold. Like that, he made her wife, like that is described. So, in our Acharyas also described that Rati Devi was telling this to him so that he can incite the anger in Pradyumna to kill Sambara. So in the next verse, 13th verse, she is continuing to describe that Sambara not only kidnapped you, he threw you into sea when you were not even 10 days old, and a fish swallowed you, and then that fish came here, and from that body you were recovered like that. So she's telling all this pastime according to Srila Jiva Goswami so that he'll become angry on Sambara. Oh, you kidnapped me, you threw me in sea, let me take care of you like that. And then also uh, here the word master is used. That is representing, according to Srila Sanatana Goswami, that is confirming, she's confirming that you are my husband, my master, like that, number one. And also is confirming that you are actually capable of killing Sambara demon, like that. So moving further on text 24, now she's requesting directly, now kill the dreadful demon Sambara, your enemy. Although he knows so many magic spells, I will give you special magic mantras. Mahamaya it's called. With that you can defeat him, like that is describing. And the next verse he says, your poor mother Rukmini Devi, having lost you because the demon took you, kidnapped you away, she's actually very crying and she's in distress. And he gives two examples, like a kurari bird. Srila Jiva Goswami describes that is describing hopelessness. Kurari bird, when his baby bird is lost, he keeps on crying without even eating food like that. That is the one example given. And second example given is when a cow, his baby calf, the baby calf dies untimely, then the cow, out of great hope, continues to try to feed the baby calf. Like that, there is an example to give hope like that. So like that, Rukmini Devi is simultaneously hopeless and in distress and hopeful also at the same time like that. Like that, Mayavati is describing to Pradyumna here. Going to next verse, text 16. So like that, she is inciting anger in Pradyumna to kill Sambara demon. So Mayavati gave him that Mahamaya skill, so that way he can defeat Sambara easily. So Sanatan Goswami describes something interesting in this verse. He says, actually, he already has all the knowledge. She doesn't need to give the knowledge. But why is she giving the knowledge? Because she's bewildered out of her prema, out of her love for him. That's why she's giving like that. And then he's described in this word as Mahatmane. That word is significant because this Srila Jiva Goswami says that he is suitable to kill Sambara because he has great intelligence and strength at the same time. Or also another meaning of the word Srila Jiva Goswami describes, Mahatmane means is very grave, that not revealing his powers right now, like that. In the next verse, Pradyumna now wants to go to Sambara to challenge him for battle. He goes to challenge Sambara to battle by cursing him, by talking insulting words to Sambara like that. When Sambara heard these insulting, harsh words, he became agitated, like a kicked snake. When you kick a snake, snake will become angry, raising its hood, ready to bite you like that, right? Like that, Sambara came out with a club in his hand, and his eyes were red with anger, rage like that. And Sambara threw the club onto this Pradyumna. With a great sound, he threw it. And then in the last verse for today, Sambara, when the Sambara's club was coming, Pradyumna took his own club and knocked it over. So, and then Pradyumna, out of anger, threw his own club back at Sambara like that. That's how the battle started. We'll hear more details from tomorrow. So we'll hear, I think Pankaj Mali Prabhu is giving the class tomorrow. We'll hear more details. How Pradyumna defeated Sambara, and then how Pradyumna and Mayavati went back to Krishna and Rukmini's palace also. We'll hear tomorrow. Yeah, we'll pause here. Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Vanchakalpatarubhyasya Kupa Sindhubhyavucha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavibhyo Namo Namaha. Thank you so much, devotees. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, thank you.
Hare Krishna. Thank you.
Thank you, Prabhuji.